It's June, and every year around this time, the NFL rumor mill starts churning out some pretty wild ideas, especially involving big-name players. This time, one of the buzzworthy trade concepts swirling around involves two-star wide receivers, Tyreek Hill and DJ Moore. The Chicago Bears have been mentioned as a potential player in this trade, which has definitely grabbed some attention. At first glance, it might sound like a crazy idea. One of those it must be June scenarios where the offseason brings out all kinds of unexpected chatter. But when you dig a little deeper, there are some intriguing angles worth exploring, even if the whole thing sounds a bit far-fetched. Let's start with the Dolphins and why Tyreek Hill might be on the trading block in the first place. The big point here is that after June 1st, Hill's contract becomes more tradable, which opens the door for teams interested in taking on his hefty salary. For Miami, moving on from Hill could mean hitting the reset button on their roster construction and salary cap situation. They'd clear some space, but the question quickly becomes, who out there would want to take on Hill's contract, which is north of $25 million just for 2025? That's a huge chunk of cap space. And not every team has the financial flexibility or willingness to absorb it. Now the Bears have been brought up in these discussions for a few reasons. First, they have some connections with Hill's former Chiefs offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, who's now part of Chicago's coaching staff. That link makes some people wonder if Hill might be a good fit scheme-wise. But here's the catch. The Bears already have a crowded wide receiver room, and unless DJ Moore heads to Miami as part of the deal, this trade doesn't really work. From a pure roster standpoint, trading one star receiver for another doesn't add much unless there's a clear financial or strategic advantage. Speaking of finances, this is where the cap situation really complicates things. Trading DJ Moore before June 1st would leave the Bears with about $60 million in dead cap money, which is basically a non-starter. After June 1st, that dead money drops dramatically to around $4 million. And they'd save about $21 million against the cap by moving him. On the flip side, bringing in Tyreek Hill means taking on a cap hit of roughly $15 million for the Bears in 2025. When you do the math, swapping Moore for Hill would cost nearly $33 million in cap charges for both teams combined. That's a massive figure, and it's what makes this kind of high-profile receiver trade extremely rare in the NFL. Most teams just don't want to juggle that kind of cash flow, especially not the Bears, who despite spending more aggressively, recently haven't shown signs they're ready to absorb a nearly $26 million cap hit for a single player in one offseason. From Miami's perspective, trading Hill is more about getting him off the books and clearing space, not necessarily swapping contracts and taking on a new big salary. So while the cap numbers technically allow for this trade to happen after June 1st, it's tough to imagine either side jumping into it without serious hesitation. Beyond the money, there are football reasons why this trade might not make a ton of sense. Tyreek Hill, while undeniably one of the most dynamic receivers of his generation, is entering the later stages of his career at 31 years old. His production last year dipped a bit. He didn't quite reach the explosive numbers that made him such a game changer earlier in his career. He still offers elite speed and playmaking ability, but the days of 1,700-yard seasons might be behind him. DJ Moore, on the other hand, is younger and might still be on an upward trajectory. While he's never been in the same tier as Hill, there's reason to believe Moore could continue developing and become an even more reliable target moving forward. Then there's the issue of baggage. Tyreek Hill's off-field distractions and legal issues, even if many have faded over time, still linger in public perception. The Bears' general manager has shown a reluctance to take character risks in recent years, focusing instead on building a stable locker room environment. Bringing in a high-profile player with a history of controversies might clash with that philosophy. Even if Hill is a Hall of Fame-level talent, the team might prefer to avoid those potential distractions, especially when they already have invested heavily in DJ Moore with a recent contract extension worth over $100 million. Speaking of Moore, last season was far from perfect. There were questions about his effort and consistency, with some film analysis pointing out times where he seemed to give up on plays. That said, he's still only 28 and has shown flashes of brilliance. The new coaching staff is reportedly working hard to demand more accountability and effort from every player, and Moore appears to be buying into that. His skill set fits well with the offensive scheme being installed, and there's optimism that he can bounce back and be a key contributor for the Bears moving forward. If we imagine a scenario where both players were the same age and the money wasn't such a massive hurdle, the appeal of acquiring a player like Tyreek Hill is obvious. He's an elite talent with a proven track record of changing games with his speed and playmaking. But the reality is different. The financial implications, the cap space constraints, the age difference, and the team's current investment in more all stack against this trade happening. In short, this trade would be a high-risk, high-cost gamble for the Bears. Tyreek Hill could still produce at a high level in the short term, but the longer-term outlook is uncertain, and the hefty contract might limit the team's flexibility in other areas. DJ Moore, despite some recent struggles, offers youth, potential growth, and a cleaner off-field profile, making him a safer bet as the Bears look to build a consistent and competitive roster. So while the numbers make the trade technically possible, and the idea of swapping star receivers is fascinating to consider, the practical hurdles, financial, football-related, and cultural, are significant. The Bears probably won't take on that kind of risk, especially this early in the offseason. And the Dolphins might prefer to simply find a way to unload Hill's contract rather than engage in a complicated swap. That said, it's always fun to speculate about these blockbuster trades and imagine how they could shake up teams and divisions. Will the Bears try to upgrade at receiver with a splashy move like this? Or will they stick with the pieces they have and continue building around their current core? Only time will tell, but for now, this trade remains one of those intriguing off-season scenarios that sparks debate and keeps us all guessing, digging deeper into the implications of a trade like this. It's important to understand the mindset of the Bears front office and coaching staff. Ryan Poles, the Bears general manager, has made it clear over the past year that he isn't interested in taking unnecessary risks, especially when it comes to character and culture. The Bears have been rebuilding under a new regime, aiming to create a stable, disciplined environment that can foster long-term success rather than chasing flash-in-the-pan moves that could disrupt chemistry. Tyreek Hill is a fascinating case because he's one of the best wide receivers of his generation. No one disputes that. His speed, ability to change direction on a dime, and knack for making explosive plays made him a game-changer for the Kansas City Chiefs and more recently for Miami. But as players age, especially ones who rely so heavily on speed and agility, there's often a natural decline. Hill's production last year wasn't bad by any means. Nearly 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns is nothing to sneeze at. But it wasn't quite the dominant season-defining performance many expected from him based on his past. What raises red flags for the Bears is the sustainability of that level of play and whether it justifies the financial burden. Hill's contract is massive, and taking on that salary could limit the Bears' ability to invest elsewhere, in the offensive line, in defense, or in other key positions. Teams need balance, and overcommitting to one player can backfire if injuries or decline catch up to them. The Bears have invested a lot in DJ Moore recently, handing him a lucrative extension because they believe in his talent and potential. Moore's age and trajectory are significant factors in this discussion. At 28, he's entering what should be his prime years. And while his last season had some inconsistencies, particularly concerns about effort and focus on the field, he's still shown flashes of top-tier ability. The Bears' new coaching staff under head coach Matt Eberflus and offensive coordinator Luke Getsy is known for demanding high effort and discipline, which could help Moore elevate his game. This means the team might be more inclined to work with him and try to get the best out of his prime rather than trade him away for a player whose best years may be behind him. From a football standpoint, the Bears have to think about scheme fit as well. Tyreek Hill's explosiveness and route running ability make him a dangerous deep threat and a constant mismatch nightmare for defenses. That would certainly add a new dynamic to the Bears' offense, but Moore's skill set is not too far off. He's a more possession-style receiver who can consistently get open and make plays after the catch. The offense could be built around either player, but the question is, which investment makes more sense over the long haul? Another thing to consider is how this trade could impact the locker room and team culture. Bringing in a high-profile player like Tyreek Hill with a history of off-field distractions and a very public personality, might shake things up in ways the Bears don't want. The team has been carefully cultivating a culture of accountability and focus, and it's unclear if Hill's presence would align with that ethos. Meanwhile, Moore has been seen as a solid, if somewhat flawed, piece of the team puzzle. He's still young enough to grow and mature, and the coaching staff seems committed to helping him reach his potential. Looking at Miami's side of the trade, the Dolphins are in a bit of a bind. Hill's contract is a heavy load for a team trying to balance star talent with salary cap flexibility. If they want to move on from him, finding a trade partner willing to take on that contract is a challenge. Swapping for DJ Moore wouldn't necessarily be a perfect fit either, but it might be a way to reset their wide receiver cores while managing the cap better. Still, it's a complex puzzle, and the Dolphins front office has to weigh whether trading Hill for Moore, with all the salary implications involved, really helps their situation long term. Financially, these types of blockbuster trades rarely happen in the NFL, especially involving two high-priced wide receivers. Unlike the NBA, where trading star players is more common due to different salary cap rules and contract structures, NFL trades tend to be more conservative. The cap hit, guaranteed money, and dead money often make these deals more complicated than they appear on the surface. Teams usually look to trades as a way to clear space or acquire young, cheaper talent rather than swapping big money contracts for one another. In the case of the Bears and Dolphins, the potential trade of Hill for Moore falls into this tricky territory. The cap hits technically work out if the trade happens after June 1st. But the cash flow is another matter entirely. The Bears would be committing to a $15 million cap hit for Hill in 2025, which is significant for a team still building its core. The Dolphins would save nearly $15 million, but also take on a $21 million hit for Moore, so it's hardly a salary dump for either side. Given this, the logistics of the trade become a massive hurdle. This also leads to the broader question of team strategy. Are the Bears ready to move all in on a veteran wide receiver with a limited future and high cost? Or are they better off continuing to develop their current young talent, including Moore, and focusing on building a more balanced roster? For the Dolphins, is it better to unload Hill now to avoid future cap headaches, or try to squeeze more value out of him through the trade market? Ultimately, while the idea of swapping Tyreek Hill for DJ Moore sounds exciting and headline-grabbing, the practical reality is far more complicated. Financial constraints, player age, and performance, trends, team culture, and long-term strategy all play major roles in deciding whether such a trade would happen. Right now, it feels more like an interesting offseason hypothetical than an imminent move. That said, the NFL offseason is always full of surprises. One thing is for sure, Chicago Bears fans will be watching closely to see how their wide receiver situation develops. Will DJ Moore rebound and become the consistent, reliable target they hoped for when they signed him? Or will the temptation to bring in a dynamic playmaker like Tyreek Hill eventually become too enticing to resist? Either way, the wide receiver position will be one of the most fascinating storylines to follow as the Bears gear up for the upcoming season. For now, though, the consensus among many analysts seems to be that the Bears are better off sticking with DJ Moore and building around their younger invested players rather than taking on the financial and cultural risks that come with a trade for Tyreek Hill. It's a reminder that in the NFL, talent alone isn't enough. The fit within the team, the salary cap realities, and the broader organizational philosophy all matter just as much, if not more. As the offseason progresses, we'll continue to watch how these rumors evolve and what moves the Bears make to shape their roster. The idea of a blockbuster trade involving two-star receivers might just be the kind of buzz the offseason needs, but whether it becomes reality is a different story altogether. Fans and analysts alike will be waiting to see if Ryan Poles and his team pull off any surprises, or if this will be one of those almost moments that keep us guessing until the next big rumor hits the news cycle. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. A storm might be brewing within the Chicago Bears locker room as rumors swirl around a possible major shakeup. involving star running back DeAndre Swift. According to recent whispers from sources close to the team, head coach Ben Johnson is reportedly growing increasingly frustrated with Swift's presence on the roster and may be looking to move on without him. While no official statement has been released, the murmurings among insiders suggest tension is building behind the scenes. The Bears, a team in transition and eager to redefine their identity, seem to be facing internal conflicts that could reshape their season. Swift, who has shown flashes of brilliance on the field, may not be fitting into Johnson's vision for the team's future. It is unclear whether this dissatisfaction stems from off-field issues, on-field performance, or clashes in team dynamics. But the coach's stance appears firm. He no longer wants Swift as part of the Bears' core lineup. If true, this development will be a major surprise, considering Swift's potential as one of the league's dynamic running backs. The possibility of the Bears parting ways with him could signal a deeper crisis within the team's roster management. Fans and analysts alike are left speculating about what this could mean for Chicago's campaign ahead. Would the Bears be willing to sacrifice one of their key offensive weapons to assert new control and discipline under Johnson? This rumored rift raises questions about the stability of the Bears' locker room environment. Is the team headed for a full-scale rebuild, or is this an isolated conflict between a coach and a player? And what could the fallout be if Swift is indeed traded or released? Such a move might ripple across the NFL landscape, with several teams likely eyeing the talented back as a valuable addition. While the Bears front office remains tight-lipped, the buzz growing around this situation has already caught the attention of sports media. Fans eagerly await confirmation or denial, but for now, the whispers continue, leaving open the possibility that the Bears are on the verge of a significant roster shakeup that could alter their trajectory this season. In a league where team chemistry and player-coach relationships are crucial, the reported discord involving Ben Johnson and DeAndre Swift is certainly a storyline to watch closely. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.